And as soon as I heard it.
Welcome to episode 48 of Beer with Strangers. I'm your host, Tony Russo, and I'm joined this week, as I'm joined each week, almost each week, pretty much each week, by Doug Griffin.
Good evening, and as normal, the weather outside. It's been a nice sunny day, although cool, but at least no snow here.
And we have a special guest, Jerry Franklin. He is the brewer at Third Wave Brewing in Del Mar. And we'll get to him in a second. I want to say something about the weather briefly. I actually did a story this week on the Del Mar weather guys, and they said it's going to be brutally cold the next 2 or 3 days. Yeah. It's going to be so.
It was 20 in Millsboro this morning. I think it's supposed to be 15.
Wow.
Not tonight, but tomorrow night.
Brutal. So we are here for several reasons. Reason number one is that you have a class coming up, because sometimes you teach classes here, but nobody knows you, or many of our viewers may not know you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into brewing, and how did you get the gig?
Well, I started brewing about 18 years ago. This man here pretty much taught me everything at his original shop. Kind of went in there one day, started brewing. Anytime he needed help, started kind of helping out. Next thing you know, I just never left, or he never kicked me out. Was home brewing and teaching people to home brew for about 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while.
How old are you? You look like you're 40. Have you been doing it since you're 12?
I'm 41.
Wow. So you've been it since you were 20 years old, right?
Well, 41, 18 years. Yeah, I was about 23.
Yeah.
22, 23.
That's crazy.
When I started home brewing. We actually worked together, worked at the same place, so that's kind of how I came across them. And about 2 years ago, I was able to get the job at Third Wave as one of their brewers, and it's been fun. It's been a fun ride. Started out as a hobby. Now, I'm one of the ones they call the lucky ones. That get to do it full time. I go home tired every night. I go home. I go to bed pretty early. It's actually past my bedtime.
Well, one of the cool things Doug and I were talking about it before the show is I'm reading Brewing Up a Business, the Sam Calagione book, and Doug's in it. Doug's in all the books. He's in my book. He's in Sam's book. Sam and I have a lot in common. No, but the thing that I thought was cool about it is that a lot of the professional brewers kind of speak like the same language that Sam is using in that book. And because I've been doing this a while, talking to a lot of you guys, not just the professional brewers, but a lot of the home brewers, the story is often the same. Well, I went to Doug's and I never left.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I get a kick out of it because I guess 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, there was a guy here and he said the other thing that I hear a lot in this shop, which is, well, I really just like Coors Light. Do you have anything that's easy like Coors Light? And Doug goes, yeah, well, we do. We have this the crab beer. Is that we have a crab beer, which is a light beer, and I just get a huge kick out of how everybody's so unique, and their stories though are very similar.
Oh yeah.
So what appealed to you most about homebrewing? Because you started making your own extract recipes.
Yes. Actually, I started before I even knew Doug. My wife at the time, she got me a homebrew kit, and I didn't even touch it. I had it sitting there for close to a year. So yeah, I might do it one day. Then I was working at the same place as Doug, and found out he was doing homebrew. So he said, "Stop by the shop sometime. We're all open on Saturdays." And went into his shop, and his shop is actually the room we're in right now is probably about the size of his original shop.
Yeah.
And we went in there, and it was kind of fun to just learn the basics of just brewing, and then to go on from that of tweaking a little bit recipes, learning the different flavors that I like, and then that's when you start coming up with your own recipes. Without a doubt, Doug was right there for a lot of it. I was kind of saying the kind of flavors I wanted to do, and he said, well, kind of give this a try, give that a try. And
I remember when you came back from Baltimore one time, you had this great Scotch ale at Duclaws.
Yeah, at Duclaws.
And he said, I think I got they tell me what most of the grains are from the description.
And
we sat down and made it up.
Yep, and that's what we did. We sat down, we made that one up. You know, they told you the greens. Started started picking off some of the hops that that I thought was in there from the taste and all. And yeah, we got real close with it. We got real close, and that kind of sparked my interest of wanting to make my own recipes, or actually learning how to clone some of them, because I think cloning beers like that, or trying to get something close to that, makes it where you're learning the flavors. Luckily, it turned out really well, and he was like, "Hey, let's make that one of our kits."
And it still is.
Still available.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, still available.
Got two actually series, that one and what he now calls Dawn Patrol, or coffee and cream stout.
Yeah, the coffee and cream stout is so good. I had it here. To tell you, I hope this is a compliment. It's meant to be. I had it here, and I knew my wife would love it. And we went to the brewery, and we had it there, and she absolutely did. It's very close. If it's not the same, it's very
That's
close.
that's without a doubt. That's one of my that's my baby.
Yeah.
I love it because I'm more of a darker beer fan. I'm a huge coffee fan, and when I was working on that, started making the kit, and actually that's one of the recipes that appeared in the Extreme Brewing book.
Second edition.
The second edition. I was really proud of that. Happy about that. When I was doing the starting the brew, told them about the coffee and cream stout. They kind of knew about it because the owners of Third Wave started home brewing before even Third Wave existed. That's how I met them.
Right.
And they said, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
It worked out well at the homebrew shop. Everyone seems to love it. Let's make it big, and that was a huge compliment. So for me to have that beer to go from scratch to not only I was just impressed, just Doug saying, "Hey, let's put it on the shelf." I was happy about that, and then it being put in that book. Now I'm really happy. Now it's in the brewery.
It's published.
Yeah, it's published just like me.
And I'm published, so I'm happy about that. And believe it or not, I have actually had in the brewery, I've had people come into the brewery with that book and want me to sign that page.
Oh, that's awesome.
The recipes on.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That was kind of odd the first time.
Yeah.
I was working in the back, because I do bartend sometimes at a small brewery, so I do everything there. Got called out front and had this nice, couple, older couple that came in. They said, they started doing it. They've actually made that beer a couple times. They got the book. They talked to Doug and all. They said that he's right down the road.
Oh, that's
They
great.
stopped in with the book, and when they first said, "We want you to sign it," I laughed. I was like, they're like, "No, really, we want you to sign
That's
it."
fantastic.
Who knows how big they'll get?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so that was fun.
And do you guys have a really free hand over there? I had their root beer float.
Yep.
The root beer float, which is a challenge. I'm going to, again, this is a compliment because I liked it, but I can't think of a better word. There's almost a plastic taste. What is that?
The sarsaparilla.
Is that what it is?
That sarsaparilla root is interesting to use.
It's like wide.
Yeah.
Wide? Is that a word?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the real flavor words, so I have to make them up.
Everything in there is all natural. The whole, that's where we got the root beer from, is sarsaparilla root.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's one of the ones that you use a little bit too much, and that's when you get that.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of our, what we call the paddle out series. That's
Right.
a small batch series that me and John would just get to come up with anything we want.
Right.
We have our mainstays that we do. We have our seasonal beers, that come out, and we have the paddle out series. And the paddle out series is no holds barred. Whatever we want to try, just go for it.
And now, do you have? Is that A? Do you still have that? Because I'll be back tomorrow.
That one moved
Gone, huh?
That one. They're one-offs now. We do have a few beers that we have done paddle out before that has become bigger beers.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is actually our Bonsai Black IPA.
That's one of my favorites.
That was a small batch. People loved it. We made a bigger batch of it. We're making it now. John and I we're brewing that next week, and that's also the beer that I'm teaching people how to brew this weekend at Doug.
Oh, awesome.
Segue.
Awesome segue, but I have to kill your segue,
Okay.
but then we can go back to it. that root beer, I don't have any self-control. That's my problem. And the root beer is one you have to let it sit, and you have to let the flavor come out of it.
Yeah.
And so I drank half of it, and I'm like, yeah. And then I got in a conversation, and then I got the other half of it, and the second half was just so good, and I was like kicking myself for not having the patience. Do you let beer sit? What do you do? How do you do it?
Most
Get two?
time, let it warm. Well, get two, but sometimes you go places that the glasses are frosted and just the beer's too cold,
Right.
and you start drinking it, it's just too cold. Give me another one, let it sit there and warm up, and so by the time you're done one, you got another one that's the right temperature.
Yeah.
I used to do that with Lucky 7 when that first came out. That was one I would order 2 at a bar. So anyway, so you're making the black IPA?
Yeah, black IPA, the Bonsai Black IPA. The ideal, what we want to do is I'm going to teach people how to brew it here. It'll be done here about the same time that it will be done at our brewery and coming out, because we'll be making it next week at the brewery.
Oh, wow.
And it'll be, coming out in March. So, it's kind of a fun way of hopefully also to get people, to come by the brewery, check it out. Hey, go by Doug's,
right, and you can
check it
make
out
it.
there.
Now, so how do you go about preparing for a class? Because you've done a bunch. Have you done a bunch of all grains before?
I've helped out with a bunch of all grains. I don't prepare that much.
We've got some handouts that we always have for the all grain. What we call the magic of the brew. So it's a very brief description of the brewing process and how things get converted from malt to sugar water for the beer. So, but it's just showing people how to do it and walking through the steps lets them see how the things occur.
And now this is generally not, this isn't written for beginners. This is written for people who have already brewed. And
it is, anybody can do it, but it just shows people how you take malt that's the maltster's made, it's the barley out of the field that's been malted, it's been grown and processed so that it's ready for the brewer to make beer. Right,
and it's not the but because generally your classes, you do the extract classes.
Yeah.
And so this takes, how long does it usually take?
This is about 5 hours.
This would be a 5-hour class, which is nice. That's why there's no reason to really prepare for the class as far as, what I'm going to say, because it's easier to keep it laid back. And that's how, Doug taught me how to brew. That's how I brew now, is you keep it laid back and just however the conversation goes. You're going to mash in. When you mash in, so when you mash in, you got an hour before you do anything else. So you're going to talk.
And mashing's just taking the crushed grains and adding hot water to it at a specific temperature for there's 2 enzymes that become active, and that creates the starches get converted to sugars. And that's just the whole process he shows.
And so it's as much a chance for people to just kind of talk to you and kind of pick your brain about the process generally.
Right.
It's not really, because if it was just a list of things to do, you could run over the list. And
that's where it's nice. You generally have some people who are seasoned brewers who come anyway to just see what else is new. But you have people who ask questions, and not only does Jerry generally answer, there's somebody else there that can give a different perspective.
Right. And so it's a larger conversation between brewers of all different levels.
That's right. And a lot of people come just to see if they want to get into all grain, because it does take longer and it takes more equipment.
That seems like if I probably will live and die and never brew on my own. But if I did, that's what I would do. I feel like it's probably just the romantic in me, but I feel like it's like you get a bunch of people and you hang out all day and you make the beer and you drink last week's beer, and then next week you make or 2 weeks ago's beer. But you keep it going, and you drink the beer you already made while you're making the beer you're going to drink in 2 weeks. And I could live my whole life like that.
That's the fun part about it, And I think over the years, I don't know how many of the homebrew or the all grain classes I've been a part of. All the ones from doing something where I'm going to call this like probably one of the fancier classes as far as like just the setup that we have versus some of the first ones that we was hanging out with Doug and I was just talking about where it was snowing, freezing cold, and we had a tarp that we was like wrapping around, where we was keeping, standing by the brew kettle, just keeping warm. But it was the greatest day.
Well,
I woke up the next day sore, cold,
standing up,
but it was the greatest day.
And actually, to kind of follow up on that, you weren't on the show last week because you were building the system.
Right. And still working on a little bit. I got a little more work to do tonight. And tomorrow we're going to fire it up and make sure it works all right.
And can you talk about a little bit about like how you built it? Did you build it from scratch?
I did build it from scratch. Got the raw steel at Mumford's down in Sullyville. Cut it and welded it together. So
wow,
it's a big brew sculpture.
Now, do they sell those? Do you sell those? Can a person buy that?
We do not sell them. They are available. A lot of people, just because of the cost of it, do it themselves out of either steel and or wood or something, whatever they can find to do multiple tiers. At Millsboro, we always just use picnic tables. So it depends upon what your requirements are, how fancy you want to get, how much money you want to spend.
All right. So tell me about you put the burner on the picnic table, or
the burner sits on the picnic table. The cooler sits on the seat. We do use a cooler for a mash tun. That's where the grains go with the hot water, convert to starches into sugars. And then you have a hot liquor tank, which you get hot on the stove, and it drains into the hot liquor tank, which drains into a pot on the ground. And then that pot on the ground is smaller. You take periodic, you fill it up, and then you put it in the brew kettle, which is up on the stove again.
Wow.
So it's whatever works for your method. Now this one is totally, up until it's going to be cooled, it's totally gravity fed. But it's 6 foot plus tall. So the hot liquor starts at the top.
Wow.
Mash tuns or coolers in the center, boil kettles down here, and then we're going to have a pump go through a chiller and then into fermenter.
Now, I thought it was because Ed is usually brings it. This does not look like Ed's.
Ed's is a little smaller than what we've got, and I think his is gravity feed. We just made it a little taller.
A little taller because it's small. And I'm sorry if you haven't been here before. Ed, who is one of the guys who helps out. Ed Draper around here. He has, and if you haven't seen them, it looks like a table with holes in it, and you place the tanks in the bottom, the fire
propane.
Thank you. The propane tanks on the bottom, and then the burners over top. It looks quite complicated, but I guess, have you made them before? Is this yeah, of course you have.
Now, I've made this a little taller just because it's easier to shorten it than it is to make it taller. So made it a little taller maybe than what's necessary, but we'll just make sure it works all right.
Right. Better long than wrong.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so make sure to come out to that. What are the specs on that? When is that?
Saturday. This is the 31st, this Saturday, from starts at noon, and that's the best time to get here is at noon, because the first hour is generally the most important. It's your conversion of starches into sugars, which is the important part, but it's going to run to about 5 o'clock.
That's very cool. And so what do you suggest people be prepared for? To
Cold. Well, it will be outside. Propane, open flames. It's better to be outside. There is a roof over it, but it's going to be cold.
And I understand it's going to be fairly windy, so so dress warmly.
And now you're going to have during the anniversary, actually, people came inside in the middle and went back out. Do you see that? That's
same thing here. We're going to have a pot of chili, so
yeah,
it'll be set up here in the brew room.
So come inside, warm up, and still talk in here, and still have a couple beers, and then go back outside for each of the steps.
Oh yeah, I mean, depending on how cold it is out there, there will be some. So when we get the mash in, we might just head on inside right then.
Or just hang out as long as you can stand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was pretty cold for your anniversary party. It was pretty cold. But we'll look to see, because also the temperature's not supposed to really drop until Monday, right? So it's gonna be cold. There's no getting around.
It's all relative. It's gonna be cold for around here, but if you're up north, it's a warm day.
Well, yeah, it's funny. I actually have been walking around in my T-shirt in my house because my wife is so cold. She has the heat up, and I can't take it. So I wear a T-shirt. The other thing we wanted to talk about briefly, we are short on time. We have a class coming in here as well tonight, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Basic brewing tonight, 6 o'clock.
Basic brewing tonight, 6 o'clock. If you are watching, and you are not, but if you were watching, you could come rushing in here right now and learn basic brewing. One of the things we were talking about was water and using water for brewing because there's a story in the news this week about using reclaimed sewer water for brewing. And there are two things that my at least grandchildren, but certainly great-grandchildren.
Different from the cold mountain stream water you generally
the
see.
cold mountain stream water, yes, absolutely. But it's something I think that we're going to have to get used to. So that and eating crickets. And I'm gonna buy cricket. Do you know about cricket flour? They make cricket flour. I'm gonna make cricket cupcakes. I can't wait.
Enjoy that.
Yeah, and I'll bring it to you. You could make cricket beer. That could be the cricket malt or something. I don't know. But anyway, sewer water. Back to sewer water. And so what they're proposing to do and are doing in Seattle or someplace like Seattle is using reclaimed water to make beer. And the idea is that you boil almost all the poison. If it's filtered properly, you can boil all of the impurities out of it. And I know that works, and they use it in, I mean, they drink it in space, right? And then here on Earth, they use it for watering crops and for water crops in some places and for feeding animals. But you, Doug, were talking about adding minerals back in.
Yeah, it depends upon what the filtering process is. It may strip out a lot of the minerals that you need for brewing. But there are breweries who, depending upon what their water is, or they just want a baseline of nothing in their water, they will filter the water sufficiently so there are no minerals left in it and add the minerals back in that they want. So it's a controlled way to get the brewing water that you want.
There's St. Michael's does that.
Yeah.
They do a different water profile for every beer that they do. So if they want to do an IPA, they'll do a Colorado profile, and if they want to do an English stout, they do an English water profile.
They can make it hard, you can make it soft, depending upon what you need.
And you can look it up. Apparently, you can just look it up online, like what's the water profile, and then do you add chemicals? Do you add the chemicals? But you literally add throw some iron in there, throw some iron tablets or whatever. That's cool. And you were saying that a third wave.
Not so much iron, but magnesium, calcium,
iodine.
I don't know about iodine.
I don't know from iodine.
But yes, you can go to. There's places online or books that can or do describe the brewing waters of famous breweries, and you can duplicate that.
That's pretty cool.
Water profile,
and
that's a totally. I mean, that's a whole science.
Yeah, and you have to have. Do you do it in like a lab or a lab setting?
Yeah. I mean, there's two thoughts on that. You can use what you got, or you can modify.
Right.
Most of the time, people just use what they have. That's the easiest way. But sometimes, if you want to produce a specific type of beer, you have to add the right chemicals or water salts, as they're called, to make it that chemistry. Taking
from what you said to me, I would have to try them next to one another to see if I could really tell the difference. I don't know if I don't know if my palate is sensitive enough to tell the difference between water profiles in a beer. Two beers brewed together.
Brew same beer with two different waters.
Yeah, at the same time.
Right.
And I don't know if I'm sensitive enough. And one of the other reasons we were talking about that was because I had the coffee and cream stout here, which we were talking about earlier. And it's the one they make here isn't radically different from, as far as I could tell, a couple of days later, is the one you guys make at the brewery. And you guys don't do very much to your water at the brewery.
No, we don't. No, we don't. I mean, we do. We have town water where we're at, so they do some stuff to it. Our water, we have a water softener for our water, but all in all, our water produces really good beer. We was lucky to already know that, because before Third Wave was there, it was Evolution Brewery for a few years.
And they had all that work
They
done.
used the same order, so we knew what we were going into with that. So we didn't really have to make dramatic changes. But yeah, without a doubt, some breweries, the water makes a huge difference. Some of the breweries that are over in the West Coast that are coming over to the East Coast now just to help with distribution.
Right.
And that's one of the big things that they're talking about.
Oh, I would guess like Stone and...
Yeah, Stone is one of them. They're coming over here, but they want to keep that beer to taste exactly the same. The water that they're using over on the West Coast to the water over on the East Coast is going to be completely different. And
I guess New Belgium does, right? Is New Belgium's in Asheville or one of those places, right?
Yep.
It's very fascinating. And last but not least, what do you have coming out next at the brewery? What's going on at Third Wave? And Third Wave is in Delmar, Maryland. Delmar, Delaware.
Delmar, Delaware, about 4 blocks from the Maryland line. We have, I know as far as an event coming up, a really good event is on February 4th. We're at Specific Gravity, and we're having a pint night. So we'll have about 4 of our beers out there. Coming up soon, we have our wheat beers, which are always very popular. Right now, our boysenberry wheat is out. The next one is our apricot wheat, which is a very, very popular beer. Bonsai Black IPA, that's coming out soon. We got a lot of stuff. We actually have some barrel age to keep a watch for. And in 2015, we are getting into bottling.
Very exciting.
So a lot of people have been asking us to do some bottling. So we're going to get into some bottling and some canning.
So the bombers for bottling?
We're going to start with, we do have one. It's an Imperial Stout that's been aged in 14-year-old bourbon barrels. It tastes just right.
Yeah.
I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard, but I really think we nailed that one. That's going to be the first one that's going to be coming out in the bombers. And from that, some of our actual regular staple beers we're going to be doing in the bottles and in the cans, and we're excited about that. We want to do both and just a couple just to see what now, we want to know what the customers want.
The barrel aged stuff has limited quantities.
Yeah, very limited quantities.
Now
get some. It's very special.
Do you have a canning? Do you have a canning contractor who's going to come?
Yes, we're going to be doing anything that's the bottling. We're going to be doing the bottling ourselves.
Right.
The canning, we're going to have a contractor that's going to come in and actually do the canning.
That's my favorite way. I know everyone's buying their own canning lines. I believe Raw is getting one.
Yeah.
And Burl is getting one.
Yeah, we already have a bottling line there that was left
by
Evolution. And we're working on that now to get that going. So we will be doing some bottling with that. As far as the big bomber bottles, those are going to be done like the old school way. And
one at a time.
One at a time, hand done. When they say handcrafted,
I'm looking forward to that. I was privileged to have the first Rude Boy in the barrel, and that was very good. That was a barrel aged. That was oak. Was that oak? I don't remember. Bourbon. It was.
Well, they're all most likely.
They're all. They're barrels. They're oak.
But it depends upon whether you had sherry,
what used to be in it,
or bourbon, or rum, or whatever.
Right. All right. So we are going to call it a day. Remember, have less stuff, but have better stuff, or at least have better stuff. And check us out next week. Next week we hopefully will have another guest. We're working on that. And if you're in town, make sure you come by Saturday, the 31st at noon. For the all grain event, and it's so much fun. Come here on a Saturday. Even if you can't make it this Saturday, come here on a Saturday. It's great to come and hang out and just be around people who appreciate quality beer, making quality beer, drinking quality beer, talking about quality beer, just hanging around. It's always a blast on a Saturday here. Just so many cool people doing so many cool things. I don't brew. I come here lots of times on Saturdays just to be around the cool kids. So I can highly recommend that. Any more classes? We got wine next week?
Okay.
All right.
Wine classes. Laurel, Thursday, February 26th. That's not for another 3 weeks.
And John will be coming.
We've got on Tuesday, February 3rd. Laurel, let's see what we got. Beer Basics, of course, that's tonight, and February 14th, and March 19th.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, special things coming. Of course, Jerry's here this Saturday. We've got Mike Reese for wine coming February 7th. John
Panashevitz.
Thank you.
No problem.
Like Manischewitz was
going to talk about brewing sour beers. Now, John's the master brewer at Third Wave. He's going to be here February 21st. And we're going to have an event, get together, talk about wine February 28th, starting at 5 o'clock.
So there you go. Make sure you get out here. Always a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you. Make sure you come back. Make sure you stay in touch as things go on. It'd be cool to have you here.
Absolutely.
All right, and we will see you next time. I always miss it.